Well, if you agree so much with J.D Vance, why should they vote for you?
Okay, you know it's bad when your own team says you got your butt whooped. How are you guys all doing? Welcome to the channel, Modern Renaissance Man. I am Ty Smith. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to view my content. Make sure you hit this thumbs up button so that this content can consistently be recommended to you. Don't forget to follow me on all the platforms you see above and below. If you want to know how you can get a clip played by your request that's guaranteed for me to see it and react to it while shouting you out for giving it to me, make sure you go to patreon.com/Modern Renaissance Man. That's how you can do that. Read the tiers in their entirety so that you can understand. Last but not least, double check to make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel because people are being mysteriously unsubscribed to the channel. 40 seconds. Let's go. And I think I was clear and, concise with this. Wasn't talking too fast that you didn't understand it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the debate last night, I would say you missed a really good debate. I have to admit it. It was a really good debate. I enjoyed it. Coming from both sides, from the left and the right, it was just pretty good to see. It just kind of felt like, hey, this almost kind of like what most debates are supposed to go like. I like when people debate to a point to where they are actually stating their argument, making their point, versus like just constantly throwing shots. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with throwing shots. There's nothing wrong with throwing shots, but at the same time, I hate when there's word salad too. And yeah, there was some word salad from Tim Walz. Why wouldn't there be? He got some from Kamala Harris. There was some deflecting from Tim Walz, a lot of deflecting from Tim Walz. But don't get me wrong, there was a moment in there. Let's keep it real, y'all. J.D Vance did deflect a little bit too. But gosh, otherwise, I would say, honestly, my opinion, maybe J.D Vance, 90% answering the questions, 10%, deflected. Walz, God, my goodness. I'll give him like maybe 50-50 because half the time that's all it was deflecting. But anyway, what I wanted to bring to y'all attention is that there's a whole lot of news sources, of course, that were talking about this. And what I find interesting is the fact that their own side, the liberal news, actually has something to say about Tim Walz. And then I want y'all to pay attention to something that this chick says there at the end. And I'm going to explain it. Better yet, I'll be mansplaining it. Y'all will catch it. Watch.
What do you think your strongest moment was tonight?
Oh, just I think it was a good debate. The public got to see a contrast, and I think the ending sums it up. The democracy issue is important.
Governor, you said you'd become friends with school shooters during the debate. Can you clarify what you meant on that?
Can you clarify what you meant when you said you'd be friends with school shooters?
It's pretty clear Vance outclassed Walz tonight. I mean, I was watching this and all I could think of was, man, Walz is so in over his head. I mean, can you imagine this guy sitting in the White House Situation Room with that facial expression that's like 50% sheer terror and 50% extreme bafflement? I mean, it was amazing, the split screen difference between a competent Vance and a totally in over his head Walz. The answer on why he lied about his trips to China and the Tiananmen Square thing was probably the worst VP debate meltdown since Stockdale in '92. Who am I and why am I here? It was 2.5 minutes of absolute terrible. For Vance, night of redemption. All the political media has told us that Vance was a terrible pick and Walz was going to bring in all these voters. That charade is now over. Walz does not belong at this level of American politics. Vance does. Final verdict, Tim Walz wandered into the wrong bar tonight.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is it someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer, a lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do. And some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%, open the American southern border, and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now, not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. First of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris.
A preemptive strike by Israel on Iran. You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris is we've seen steady leadership. We've seen a calmness that is able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together. Understanding that our allies matter. When our allies see Donald Trump turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea.
Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos. Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well.
Walz, what we're seeing here, we're seeing this begins panic almost because he doesn't know what to say. See how he backs up there and he's thinking? This is called the grief muscle. Right in that area there, that's a horseshoe style. When your forehead comes together in an upside down horseshoe, that's the grief muscle. He's not sure. Right there it is, right there. Perfect.
So when you say grief muscle, what are you saying that he's saying to himself right now?
He's worried. He's a little panicked, and he doesn't know what's going to happen. He's got the idea of what he wants to say, but he doesn't know exactly what he's going.
Vance made 0 mistakes, and Walz made 2. Said he was friends with school shooters, and then couldn't explain why he was in China or wasn't in China. That was very strange.
All right, let's just play that soundbite. I think it's X4. Let's just play that moment where he gets fact-checked.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this is I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Oops. I mean, he said he was in China during Tiananmen Square. I wasn't in China. That's pretty bad. J.D. Vance, everybody thought this guy was a bad guy. They were saying he was a creep. He looked beautiful tonight. He looked humble. He looked earnest, sharp, 20 years younger than Walz, new generation. I thought he was very polished. And then Walz didn't do what Walz was supposed to do. He didn't help with men tonight. He really never explained what Kamala's policies are. Did you guys get that? I still don't know what she wants to do. And then he talked about Minnesota more than he talked about her. JD's best times were when he said, well, housing costs are up now. Groceries up now. Borders open now. She's in power now. Why doesn't she fix it? She can do it right now, and she hasn't. The best line is when he said, Trump doesn't have just a plan. He has a record, and you can look at the record. And then he said, we're going to restore the American dream. CBS was terrible. Second question on climate change. You guys should have been doing this debate.
Reminded me of the June 27th debate when Kamala Harris that night said of Joe Biden, it was a slow start, but a strong finish. And that's how I felt that Tim Walz kind of did tonight. You know, to use Tim Walz's own words, I mean, a lot about this debate tonight was weird. There were uncomfortable, cringy moments. But overall, I think my takeaway was something that Reince Priebus said on the outset, which was that J.D. Vance needed to come away as that humble, likable guy from Hillbilly Elegy. It seemed like he did perhaps get some points in that.
Economy, I'll make a political point, which is that what Vance did was something Donald Trump was incapable of doing during his presidential debate, which is repeatedly saying, if Kamala Harris was going to do these things, why didn't she in office? Now, whether voters buy that or not, Tim Walz mentioned the Inflation Reduction Act and a variety of other items under Biden. But returning to that political point has worked in the past for Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton. We'll see if it works this time. I'd like to make a final point on tone. The J.D. Vance on that stage was very different than what people may have seen in podcasts. But then there was an air of unreality about it. He talked about bipartisan solutions with nuance of a kind we never saw during the Trump administration.
There is no doubt in my mind, however Governor Walz did in terms of sincerity, that Vance won this debate. Why did Vance win this debate? For the same reason that Cheney trounced Lieberman when they debated, or Kennedy trounced Nixon when they debated, because they were not the stereotypes. Walz did come across as the substitute teacher being up against, dealing with the snotty, sharp kid in the class. But Vance didn't just take that stereotype. Vance proved himself to be someone who could moderate his tone, who could be agreeable where necessary. He wasn't the wicked, aggressive stereotype that the mainstream media has made him out to be. So Vance, to me, propelled, as Cheney did and as Kennedy did, I think Vance propelled himself. And believe me, I don't particularly care for 90% of his policies. And I think Governor Walz is a very, very sweet guy, nice guy, apparently been a good governor and congressman and so forth. But this is business. And I think that in terms of the business of who wins a debate, it's a vice presidential debate, the only one. And, you're nice, okay, maybe this, maybe that. Where was, I think that Vance emerged absolutely unscathed. And I think Walz tread water. Yeah.
I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here on Walz's part.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe, yeah.
He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say that he didn't listen and said when J.D. Vance said one of the many, many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris, he didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media, it showed. He needed more reps.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, J.D. Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself, at pivoting.
Yeah, and then there is MSDNC. Take a look.
And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment J.D. Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. I mean, there was a moment like that with then vice presidential in the Harris-Pence debate.
That one of these candidates is much slicker than the other, is a much more practiced kind of professional debate style speaker, and the other candidate won. There was one bad moment for Tim Walz in this debate where he got mixed up and embarrassed in answering a question about exactly what month he had been in China in relation to the Tiananmen Square protest.
It seems to me if the goal is to make Tim Walz your neighbor, your Midwest neighbor, a nice guy, actually, despite all the things we're saying this morning, it's mission accomplished. And Tim Walz got exactly what he needed out of this, and so did Kamala Harris.
We talked about this a little bit when we were sitting over there waiting.
I think Tim Walz is one of the best communicators out there in Democratic politics. And he propelled himself onto the ticket because he is such an effective, good communicator.
There were so many niceties on that debate stage tonight. I am just kind of like, well, if you agree so much with J.D. Vance, why should they vote for you? I fully believe that Governor Walz went out there tonight and did what was practiced in debate prep. Did what the strategy was that the team put together. That was not the Governor Walz that I had seen out on the campaign trail. That's not the Governor Walz that I had seen during the Veep stakes, right? That was not the J.D. Vance that I know to be true. I mean, goodness, J.D. Vance was on that stage. He was sorry about Amber Thurman. He was sorry about abortion. He was sorry about a lot of stuff. We get things wrong, but do you agree with the policy? And then I just, that's not the Margaret and Nora that I know. Margaret don't do that on Sunday morning. So I just think that I know that there's so many people out there that want normal. They want normalcy. They just want, just be able to just disagree with, you said a lot of things I agree with. This is not a normal election. J.D. Vance is actually not Paul Ryan. And Donald Trump sure as heck is not Mitt Romney. Okay? And what happened on that debate stage tonight was not enough contrast, was not clear enough for people sitting at home or frankly who will probably consume this through the clips in their local news or here on MSNBC or on social media to distinguish and make a difference.
See that? Look at that. They just tried to come up with something. Oh, look at J.D. Vance. Oh, look. No, J.D. Vance held his own last night. Tim Walz is all over the place. And how awkward. Like, did y'all feel embarrassed for him? Like, I felt embarrassed for Tim Walz when he asked him that question. I was in Taiwan. I was in China, but I was there, and I went to Hong Kong. Like, you know that it was a wrap when you did that. You know you effed up, right? You know you effed up. And anyway, let me bring y'all back to the attention of what I was talking about with that woman. Look what she did. Y'all know that the reason why J.D. Vance whooped their butt when they tried to fact check him is that he came right back at them with the facts. And then look how the lady tried to jump in there. Well, look what he did. See, I bet you a bunch of women knows that feeling when a man is trying to mansplain. Oh, you mean when a man is trying to hold a woman accountable? You mean when a man is trying to hold you from the line? You mean when he's trying to hold the news accountable for the lies that they tell? See, that's what I'm saying. Look how you just try to throw that caveat in there trying to say that look how he's mansplaining to these women. No, he was mansplaining to mainstream media. Woo, y'all good at. That's right. Woo, y'all. I'm telling y'all, when the Lord opens the door for your boy to get into politics, I'm telling y'all, I'm not going to be one of these polished up. I'm going to bring it, and they're not going to like it. You guys, one day, God willingly, when your boy gets into politics, I guarantee you guys are going to say that guy is the same exact way he was when he was doing YouTube. I might still be doing YouTube at that time. But I'm not about to sit here, okay, so listen, see, we have a particular kind of, and I'm going to fact check you. I'm going to have the facial expression and everything. Y'all a bunch of liars. I'm fact checking you. I'm fact checking you and your lying news media. I'm not fact checking you and talking because I'm a woman. Why are you guys cutting the mic off? Oh, is it because, we said we were going to mute the mics? No, it's because y'all didn't want y'all being embarrassed and fact checked in real time for all Americans to see. And I'm glad he got to fire it off before they muted his mic on there. Gonna try to throw that in there. He was mansplaining. I know all these women that are in demanding positions and women that are like, see, we wouldn't have. Oh, don't try to do that. Don't try to, look what he doing to us. No, he did that to them, the news network, who tried to fact check him in real time, and he ended up completely destroying them with that. They didn't even know what to do. Weren't you going to talk? Yes, Senator. No, Senator. We're gonna move on. Senator, weren't you going to say? Okay, he's going to overtalk. Don't let him do this in real time. Please save me. That's what you get. Anyway, let me know what y'all think by putting it in the comments below after this video. Don't forget, if you'd like to see the next video that I will be doing, it will be up here. Variety of things that I do on this channel will be down here. It can be a toss-up. I am Ty Smith, Model Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, I pray every last one of you guys are in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.